just about 2 years ago.
How long did a session last on the beds?
I was usually about 15 minutes.
Yeah. Did you use the same oil on the beds, or did you go without anything?
I would use the lotions that you can buy in the sunbed shops.
Okay. I've never been in one, so I've no idea what you can get. I've got a massive bald head, and the last thing I want is to have funny marks on it. Because I'm bald, if I wear sunglasses, I get the white marks across my face.
The white marks,
It's really embarrassing. I can't comb my hair over it, so it's just lots of big floppy hats. So when did you first notice that something wasn't quite right with part of your skin?
It must have been about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just after I had my wee girl, I noticed that on the bottom of my back, one of my moles was itchy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I thought it was just my clothes rubbing off it. It wasn't like misshapen or anything, so I just didn't really think much of it. But the longer it went on, for about a year, I was finding it quite itchy. So eventually I went to the doctors to see about it. The doctor had a wee look at it and said to me that he didn't actually think that there was anything wrong with it. There was nothing to be worried about. Mm-hmm. But he told me if I wanted to, he would refer me up to the hospital, which obviously I asked him to do because it was really itchy. Mm-hmm. And then that's when he referred me up to the dermatology unit.
So it was your actual decision to get it checked further? It wasn't down to the doctor?
No, the doctor had a look, and the mole was very small. It wasn't misshapen or anything, the kind of things you look for. Mm-hmm. The only thing that was different about it was a bit darker than the rest of my moles, and obviously it was itchy. Mm-hmm. But he didn't think it stood out looking... He just thought it looked okay, just a wee tiny bit darker. Okay. But he did say, if you're wanting it checked, then I'll send you up, which I asked for.
So what did they find at the hospital?
At the hospital, they had a wee look and took away, I think it was 4 they took away on my back at first. And they sent them away for tests, and then they phoned me to go back up, and one at the bottom of my back, that was melanoma, and one at the top of my back was just changing. So it was just precancerous. It would have developed to melanoma if it had been left.
How long was the wait between having the moles removed and getting the diagnosis?
I got them removed in the January, and I think it was the end of January and by the beginning of February I was back up. It must have been about 2 weeks.
Okay. What was going through your mind during those 2 weeks?
I don't know. I was just waiting to see what was happening. I had a funny feeling that there was going to be something. Mm-hmm. I just knew. I think I knew before they told me. So I kind of prepared myself for it. And then obviously when I got the phone call, they asked me to go kind of straight up that day, and I went up, and they told me that obviously it was a melanoma, which wasn't the best of news, but I was happy they took it away.
What went through your mind when they told you what it was?
I just think that my kids. Yeah. How silly I could have been just to get a tan, and they nearly could have lost their mum. Because they did tell me if it had been 6 months later, it would have been a whole different story. Mm-hmm. There'd have been nothing they could have done for me, so I just felt a bit daft for worshipping the sun the way I did.
So apart from having the moles removed, what other treatment was there?
There is no other treatment for melanoma. You can only have them removed. Mm-hmm. If it's non-melanoma skin cancer, then there's a range of treatments you can get, some different things, but my particular cancer, the only thing they can do is cut it out before it goes too deep.
You can follow me on Twitter @holiday_hut. Still to come is Joni Ulrich. She's an American expert on skin cancer. We were talking about suntan lotions. But at the moment, I'm speaking to Ashley Patton. As we've discovered, she was found to have skin cancer. She had some moles removed, which turned out to be cancerous. And I wanted to know if she had any support once she received the diagnosis, and that's what we're going to be talking about now. Did you have any support once you got the news about
Yes, as soon as I got told, as soon as I got diagnosed, straight away I was introduced to Wilma Ford, my Macmillan nurse. She gave me, obviously after it, she went into depth about everything, told me about all about skin cancer because I didn't really know nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
She told me sites to get holiday insurance if I was going abroad. She told me the best sun creams to use. She gave me loads of leaflets. She gave me a number to contact at any time I wanted. And she also put me forward for doing the Sun Awareness Week.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the Evening Times and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But she's there for me whenever I need her. I've got a number, I can just call her.
So you can still call her even now, 2 years later? Yeah.
Yep.
That's good. Did you find the help really useful? Would you have been lost without it?
I think when I first got diagnosed, I was a bit in shock. So when I went in to see her after it, I was able to kind of think about what to ask her and things because I hadn't really, when they told me and they were asking me if I had any questions, I think I just kind of went blank. So after I got in to see her about an hour later, it was better for me to sit down and actually speak about it because I had time to kind of process it. And also my mum was with me, so it gave her a chance to get into her as well, which I think helped her a bit because she was really upset when I got diagnosed. But they gave me loads of information on it and loads of leaflets away, and obviously I could phone her whenever I wanted, and she phoned and checked up on me a few days later and things like that.
So moving on, do you prepare your children differently now when they go out in the sun, or did you always cover them up more than you covered yourself?
Yeah, I did. I always put factor 50 on them, and that's what she said to me. Why would you do that for them and not yourself? Yeah. But I definitely am more wary of them being in the sun for long times and long amount of times and things like that. I've always put factor 50 on them, but I'll probably reapply it a lot more than I used to. And make sure they're not in it for too long.
Do you use more factor 50 on yourself now instead of the old?
Yeah. In Scotland, I've always got like factor 30 on, and if it gets really hot, then it would be the factor 50 I get on, like the weather it is just now. Or I just sit in the shade.
My in-laws are from Elgin. They say it always rains. I can't believe it gets warm up there.
It's warm now, but I just sit under the shade.
When you're out and about with your kids, the playground or to and from the shops, do you feel that other parents aren't as careful as you when it comes to covering their children up?
I think the majority of parents probably do nowadays. I don't think so much when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like my mum didn't put sun cream on me when I was younger. They didn't really do that. But I think parents nowadays are a lot more aware. But I do think some could probably be more aware of it. Like some kids I don't think are protected enough, but the majority I think do put the cream on in the nurseries and all that are really good at kind of reminding the parents and stuff to put cream in their bags and things like that.
So has your story changed the way that your friends act in the sun and how they use sunbeds?
Yeah, a lot of them have stopped using sunbeds altogether. Some of them still do go for them, but quite a lot of them have stopped. And also my aunt, she was a total sunbed goer, and she actually went and got something checked on her head, and she'd known melanoma cancer, so it made her get checked and find that in time, and she doesn't use sunbeds at all now.
So finally, what advice would you give to others when it comes to getting a suntan?
I would say just keep the cream on and avoid sunbeds at all costs. Yeah. And if you want to be tan, I would use fake tan because it's not worth it. Yeah. I've been lucky, but the next person might not be as lucky. Yeah. I've still to go to the hospital for 5 years. I don't get off the hospital. I don't get signed off for 5 years. So I need to go every 3 months for 5 years and get checked. I need to check my lymph nodes every few weeks to make sure that none of them have come up and nothing has spread. So it is quite a worrying thing.
So even though they were removed, you've still got this ongoing checks for...
Yeah, I've got it for 5 years. Yeah. And that's me just a year now I've been, so 4 years left. Then that'll be me.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, and good luck with the next 4 years' worth of tests.
Thank you very much.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Ashley came to me through the Macmillan organisation, and they've asked me to say that skin cancer can be as dangerous as any other types of cancer. If you have any concerns or questions, visit www.macmillan.co.uk macmillan.org.uk/skin, or you can call Macmillan free on 0808 808 0000. So if you've been affected by Ashley's story in any way, the contact details are as I've given. But of course, I will be posting them at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Just look for the post for the 2nd of June show, and Macmillan's details will also be listed there. If you've had any comments or any other feedback on Ashley's story, you can also post a message at the Facebook page as well, and I can mention that on a future show. You can keep up to date with travel news and leave me a message at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. My guest now is Joni Ulrich, who's also a presenter on UK Health Radio. I did a mail out to various presenters on the station because I was interested in finding out about skin cancer, which is why I had Clive de Calf on last week, who gave his views on it, and we're now going to hear from Joni. But when Joni was communicating to me via email, she mentions that suntan lotions could also be a problem as well as the sun, and I was interested to find out more. There are a few words which may seem strange when we're talking to each other. Sunscreen, suntan lotions, the same thing. And there's a couple of abbreviations as well. FDA is the American Food and Drug Administration. And we talk about SPF, which is the factor. So factor SPF 15 is factor 15. I was so entranced with the information that Joni was sharing that I forgot to mention that while I was asking the questions. Is anyone to listen back and thought, whoops, I didn't clarify what the abbreviations are. So one more time, FDA is the Food and Drugs Administration. And if you hear SPF, just think factor. So I wanted to know at the beginning why Joni was interested in cancer and why she studied the subject. And that's what we're going to start on.
My husband was diagnosed with cancer in 2004 after he died 2 years later at the age of 2006. Many things went wrong with this treatment, and since then I've dedicated my life to raising awareness of cancer through 7 books that I've written that are available on Amazon, by the way, and 8 radio programs that I've launched, including Cancer SOS, Caregiving SOS, Treatment SOS, and these are available on UK Health Radio as well.
As this is a travel show, I'm covering suntanning. Over in the UK, we're all encouraged to use suntan lotions when out in the sun. But is it true there's no evidence that these can actually prevent skin cancer?
You know, John, that's a trick question. Sunscreen is supposed to protect us from harmful UV radiation from the sun. But as more people use sunscreen, amazingly, the incidence of skin cancer has continued to rise. I think that's partly because it gives you a false sense of security. You go out to the beach and you slather on your sunscreen and you think you're all set. You get SPF 100, and then you go in the water or you sit on the beach and different things happen, and we're going to talk about some of those risk factors today. But it makes you wonder, could the chemicals that are in sunscreens actually be contributing to causing skin cancer? And we'll discuss the best sunscreens to use later in the interview. But also, I wanted to mention that more and more studies show that people have a vitamin D deficiency. And interestingly enough, that's being linked to breast, colon, kidney, and ovarian cancers, and many other disorders. I even saw some evidence that perhaps it contributed to Alzheimer's dementia. So, vitamin D comes to us from the sun, and it strengthens our bones and our immune system. And sunscreens can block beneficial vitamin D. So, as with everything, it's a balance. And just because we purchase something from a store doesn't mean that it's good for us and has only good things in them. And marketing in our country, I know, and in Europe as well, is very important. It depends on the suntan lotion. And the skin is one of the most unappreciated organs. And we slather products full of toxic chemicals on them every day. Some people are even allergic to the ingredients in suntan lotions. So what do? Oh, we're going to talk about that this interview.
With the SPF levels, are some of them misleading, or can you take them as read?
Well, they're very misleading, John, and really